This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast. My name is Lee Keys, and joining me this evening to go through this weekend's fare is a very strong team indeed. Naps King, Andy Richmond, table leader, joins us.
Good evening. Good evening.
Nick Davis, flat specialist and price pincher of London town, joins us. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Lee.
And last and certainly not least, and John is due a big week. I know one's coming. You don't go a season without John having some big bangers. John Langton, good evening.
Good evening, Lee. I've spent all week in a big, massive queue waiting to slag off Holly Willoughby and Phil Scott.
Are we talking about John's tipping or love life?
I'll tell you about that later.
We've not got to best bets, and it's already sank. You know, the podcast that's not totally shit, and we're not totally shit because, folks, pod is coming out on Tuesday with Daniel Kubler, who obviously thinks we're not totally shit because he appeared on it, and that's worth listening to on Tuesday night. So look out for that. Okay, straight on with the action then. Best bets time. That's what everyone's listening for, I would imagine, to slag us off when we get it wrong. I'm going to go to you, Andy, for your first bet. Your pointer.
I'm going to Haydock, which should be the ground should be okay there this time. Old Kirkland shouldn't have any trouble this time, and
no.
We're going to go with the scaffolder, and the one in the nursery there called Slippin' Jimmy.
Oh yeah.
Slippin' Jimmy could be called Slippin' something else, but we better not go there. First run in a nursery. It's quite a competitive nursery, I must admit that. But if you saw his last run at Beverley when he was 5th of 12, it was eye-catching to say the least on the qualifying run, from very much the worst of the draw. It was still going well, about a furlong out when he was last. And then Jack Garrett pulled him wide and he flew home up the old hill. To finish 5th, looks sure. I mean, I thought, this has got 6 furlongs or further written all over it, and nurseries written all over it as well. And lo and behold, they've given him a bit of a break. He turns up here off bottom weight, off a marker 66, which I think the old handicap has overdone or underdone a little bit. Yards in decent form. There's one or two in there that you could give drafted from the very good James Horton yard. Probably Gray's Monument will attract some money from Rafie Beckett, but I'll issue a little warning about that one. He's very good, as we will find out later, with horses second time in their nursery runs. But when he puts the old blinkers on colts, he's got a shocking record as Rafe. So I would avoid that one. So I'm going to have a point on Slippin' Jimmy with Cam Hardy and the scaffolder to set the ball rolling at Haydock.
Good stuff, Andy. Yep. One I did look at myself. That certainly, definitely eye-catching, like you say, on all starts really. I think it's a handicap when waiting to happen. 13-2 with Denise for Andy for his 1 point on the nose, Andy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That's a good start to the show. Nick Davis, I'm coming to you.
Right then, I'm going to go in the Haydock 5 furlong handicap. I think it's second or third up. I'm going to go for the top weight here in Zarzini. Now, this had a very good run in the Air Gold Cup for 6 furlongs, which is not his best instance nowadays. He was right bang up there until about a furlong and a half out, and then predictably faded. He had a great start to the year, beat just another bottle in that big sprint at Musselburgh in the springs. Then he went to HQ, a length and a half past Cadim, and then he was drawn badly at Ascot. The York run needs a bit of explaining, but I'll put that down on an off day. And he's been dropped £3 for that runner air. And now it's probably his easiest handicap of the year he's been in. So I think he's double figures, so we'll have a point on him.
Good stuff, yeah, and that's at 12-1, Nick. Zanzini with the Bet365.
I would say, Nick, that York run that you referred to in August, he was really badly drawn that day. He's a horse I've looked at all year, to be honest with you. And I've had him on sort of list, and he's actually been dropped £3, hasn't he, from that air run?
Yeah, he dropped £3 from that air.
Yeah, which I thought was more than generous, because I thought he ran far better than that 11th, and as you say, 6 furlongs a bit too far for him today. And that York run, if you go back and look at it, nothing from a high draw really got into it, and he was left badly placed. So I think you're on a good one there.
Good stuff, Nick. 1 point at 12 for you again with Denise. Jonas Lane, your third best.
Yeah, best way to describe this bet. You know when you take a lass home after a night out?
not for a long time, mate.
At her request, you perform an exotic rimming move on her.
Oh my God.
I don't know where this is going.
And then the next morning, you're downstairs having a cuppa, and she comes down, she goes in the kitchen, and she makes eggy bread, and she doesn't make you any. And you just have your doubts, don't you? And
oh my God.
Oh God.
So, not to put £2 a point on it, 250 Chester. An old friend of ours, 3 Yorkshiremen. Now, on the face of it, this looked a bit disappointing last time, but I felt there was a couple of mitigating factors. First of all, thought he copped an overconfident ride. He jumped off in a reasonable position, and the jockey just allowed him to drift back. He was on the bit all the time, and the jockey just wasn't arsed really, as though he had plenty of confidence in the horse. Then the horse struggled to quicken on what was loose enough ground, I thought. And I think, provided we get good ground tomorrow, he's got a good gate position in 3. And I think Mullen will be positive from that. That should ensure a good posse for, at worst, a trade out. I think the convivial form, give it a bit of a tweak for the block in running, Julian Wilson style. I think you can make a case for this one being pretty well handicapped. As I said, there's a nagging doubt whether the track will play to his strengths, but I'm willing to give it a rock at 8-1, 1 point win.
Good stuff. 3 Yorkshiremen for John at Chester. Obviously, an eye catcher. I think we mentioned it on the sermon as a sort of Jimmy Linley in the convivial, and then backed it at Thirsk, and then burnt fingers. But yeah, John likes it to make amends, and that's 8-1 with Billy Mountains. So a point win on John. Some nice prices to start, and I'll continue the trend with my third best. Screen Siren in the 355 at the Curragh. 16-1 available with this, with Denise Kurtz. The reason for this bet, I would say to listeners, maybe go each way, because it's 5 pegs, but we need to catch Andy Richmond. We're not going to do it with half a point each ways. So it's a point on the noggin for me at 16 for Nap's table purposes, but obviously each way is probably the better option. Anyway, to explain why I like this, it's a filly really that really is in great nick, and she's been in great nick for a while, but the form figures might not totally suggest that. She was 6th at Cork, sort of caught up the centre a little bit, and didn't, still ran well. Again, in £23,000 handicap, a lot better than this race. Next time out, she was 2nd to Big Gossy, again running out of the handicap. But a really good 2nd, beating one of today's rivals, Strong Johnson. We've all got Strong Johnsons, haven't we? So that was a good run. And then last time out, bumped at the start, got absolutely no run whatsoever. You had to be switched down the middle. The chance had gone, and they got 2. I noticed they got 2 runners in the race, really, the Lynhams, and I reckon they were off with the other one that finished 2nd. I don't even think this was off. Again, massively out of the handicap. running wrong. Now runs off its right mark off 74. He's £8 better off with the winner from Navan, Curragh Princess, which is currently 5-1. Well, if you watch that race and say, well, that horse is going to have £8 off its back, you'd be saying, well, it won't be far away from Curragh Princess, which is obviously current sort of market leader. So Screen Siren, he's massively priced wrong at 16-1. That will go very well tomorrow. She's in savage form. So that completes the round. Some nice prices there and some really great reasons. Andy's, Nick's, I like them all. So good stuff, chaps. Let's come on to round 2 then for the 2-pointers. John Lane.
Get your klaxon ready.
Ooh.
240 Haydock. Zazie.
Ding dong.
Mm-hmm.
We need one of them. Yeah, we need one of them proper sounds. Yeah.
Like our Hammers fan colleague, I've had this horse in mind for all sorts this year, and they haven't really gone where I've wanted with him, apart from possibly Ascot. And then I seem to remember there was a iffy jockey involved or something. He managed to finish third and land in each way bet anyway, but I wasn't.
The draw was against him as well that day, John.
Yeah. The Mussey win indicated this is a very good horse, I thought, because he switched left and then had to switch right and couldn't make down the failed to beat Just Another Bottle. I thought that was an excellent effort. He then 2 runs at front end favouring shitholes, including York, where he wasn't given a chance from miles back and had a shit draw anywhere. Then he was ridden too prominently in the Egg Gold Cup because he's one of these rather like his probable main rival tomorrow, Count Dorset. He needs an even pace to run at, and he probably needs a breather at halfway, rather like Count Dorset again. I was a little bit betwixt and between the two, but I thought, given the prices, 20-1 is excellent value with Ryan Sexton up, whereas 7-1 Count Dorset, I wouldn't say I can happily watch him win, but I think there's only one player for me here, and that's Zarzini.
Yeah, like you said, 1 point each way, John. Yeah, so Zarzini obviously cut into 12s now. Denise best price. It's been absolutely hammered, that horse. That's Davis going around London town this afternoon. Look, you heard that laugh there. You know that's what he's done.
I know he's had the little blow card out.
Yeah, the 3-wheeler, the turquoise one.
Yeah.
Back
anywhere.
My mobility scooter, you mean?
Yeah, the windscreen. Back on the path.
Yeah, he's a disgrace. He's been doing the shops, the tenner a shop, and all the shops know him now, and they let him have his tenner a shop. He gets away with it, and then they're on the phones to the relatives, the families.
Message goes round.
Yeah, that's it. As soon as Davis walks in, that's it. He's here. He's here.
You wait to hear my 3-pointer.
Okay.
I think John might know what it is, but
okay. No, looking forward to this. Right, go on then, Nick. I'm gonna come to you for the 2-pointer.
2-pointer. Cambridgeshire, easy race, 2 points win, totally charming. Now this one, well, I'm convinced Dettori got off and said something to them. It hasn't been out since that red hot Hunt Cup where everything virtually around has won from there. Now, I think this 9 furlong to be right up his streets. It's won at 9.5 and 8.5, totally unexposed on the turf. It's only had about 2 or 3 runs on the turf, I think, maybe even less. This one, quick and well at Epsom when it beat Rebic in there, and I thought he had a lot more in hand than the winning suggested, and it's been kept off since the Hunt Cup. And if you look back, the last 2 times it's had a break, it's been successful. Either Dettori said stick the tongue tie on or give it a rest. But Buick's back tomorrow, and I think this will run a huge race. 2 points win.
2 points win, 12-1 generally available for Nick. Totally charming. Thank you, Nick. Again, some cracking prices on show here. Okay, before coming to Andy, I will go my 2-pointer. We've got to have a blogger bet amongst this, because otherwise ship might sink. So the blogger bet here, it goes in the 225 at Newmarket, the Cheveley Park, and the 9-4 available out Meditate is a absolute corker of a bet. I really rate the Moyglare form. The step back in trip is absolutely no issue. The Moyglare form is superior to Trillium's Molecombe and Flying Childers form. Stepping up in trip might help Trillium as well, though, but it is respected. But in terms of form levels, Meditate is above Trillium. That I've absolutely no doubt whatsoever. And I would have Meditate shorter. I think she's a real class act, big filly. Probably, if you're just going to say one worry, would possibly be the track. But the fact that she's dropping back to 6, I do like, because on both the starts over 7, I do feel she's sort of, I'm not just wanting a little bit in the final sort of 100 yards. And she gets the 7, but I do think at 6 she's even better. So Meditate for me, a strong play, 2 points win, 9-4 Hills and Coral. Andy Richmond.
Right, I'm going to have to do a bit of split stake wanker in here, but there were 2 I fancied in the 450, which is a Newmarket nursery. The first one is for Rafe or Ralph, depending how it goes. Yeah, it's Palm Lily is the first one. I'll give you the reason. He actually won this race back in 2018 with a well-backed horse called Chaleur, you might remember. Palm Lily is in the same colours as that one. If you look at the yards record with second time out runners in nurseries, it is very, very good. I think I did it from, just let me have a quick look here, from 2013. We are looking at 17 winners from 62 runners, which is a 27% strike rate. But as anyone who knows me, I think strike rates are a lot of old bollocks. You have to look at the winners above expected, which is 6.86, which is more than respectable, plus the PRB figures, the percentage runs beaten, are more than respectable. In fact, if you'd have backed them all, you'd be 40 points up. Palm Lily looks well berthed in stall 8 of 12. In fact, Beckett, I think he's been a bit unlucky not to win this race before as well. Now, she got beaten in a 6.5 furlong nursery last time out, but that form looks quite strong. She looks to have a stiff task off top weight, but I think the triple suitor, so I'm certainly going to have a point on that. And the other one is for a gentleman who's won this race before as well, Mr. Bowie, who has a very, very good record with his handicap. He's a good placer of horses, this lad. He looks about 12, but he's a really good placer. I always like his horses that have won a handicap last time out and go to follow up, because he's got an exceedingly good record. In fact, this year it reads 19 from 48. For those mathematicians amongst you, that's nearly 40% strike rate. A winners above expected of 5.29. This one absolutely gagged up at Yarmouth last time out. It is £4 out the handicap. It's slightly worrying. The 20 grand richer Safi Osborne is on board, courtesy of the BHA Banning Deerhold Sheldon Levy. And for the Nick Bradley Racing Club, Zebra Star, it will be the other point on this as well. Think there's a little bit left in this Gregorian filly. So I'm going to have a point on each, Palm Lily and Zebra Star. There's the thinking behind each one. Second time out in a nursery for Rafe, and a follow-up handicap winner for Mr. Bowie.
Cracking stuff, Andy. So that's 1 point Zebra Star, 11-2 with Billy Mountains, and Palm Lily 9-1 with Denise. 1 point win in his split stake bet. Good stuff, Andy. That completes the second round. Right, on to the 3-pointers. John Lang, I'm coming to you for your 3-pointer.
My 3-pointer is at the Curragh in the 320, the Goffs Million, and it is Ed Battle's Oviedo. I was with this one at York in the Acomb, and I thought he ran an excellent race in the circumstances. He had to wait ages for a gap, and when that gap finally came, he was bearing down on the first and second lovely. Ed Battle's kept his head with this, resisted the temptation to go chasing rope races, which a lot of trainers in his position would have done. But I get the feeling they've had this race in mind since the Acomb. Big prize and not as competitive as a lot of rope races. As I say, he could have been second in the Acomb for sure, but for having to wait for a run. there ought to be a lot of pace on here to thin them out, which will be a big help to the horse. Also, the Greenish forecast is yielding. So, as a Lope de Vega, I think this might even suit him better than anything he's raced on so far. Hiawatha's half his price, hasn't done anything as good as Oviedo's Acon form for me. And the favourite Helsing is only £3 higher on official ratings. And I think there's a case for saying he's probably reached his ceiling. So I'm going all in, 3 points win, Oviedo.
Love that, John. And you get the 7-1 with Bet Victor Coral Labrooks. The magic sign, not longer any magic in that at all, but 7-1 for 3 points win. And I do like that selection. That's a really good choice. I think, like you say, you were seething with the ride in the Acon. And this could be a good bet indeed. Okay, I'm going to come to you, Andy, next for your best.
Okie dokie. It's a non-2-year-old.
Oh yeah, you've used your two.
Yeah, I've used my 3 2-year-olds up already. So I didn't complete the 3-timer, but we're going to Chester, a horse I really like. I'd love to see this horse jumping. I don't think they'll take it jumping. Alfred Boucher, who I thought ran an absolute blinder in the Ebor. And it only took a vintage Dettori ride on Trawlerman from stall 17 to defeat him. And if you remember, he'd already run earlier in the week and the penalty actually got him in. To run 2 races like that, balls out at York in a week, takes some doing. Credit to his trainer as well. And on the day in the Ebor, he came from absolutely miles back. And I think in the light of the earlier week's exertions, that was pretty good. He's only had 4 runs for the stable. He's finished second, first and second. He's yet to run a poor race for Ian Williams, who I think is probably one of, if not the best dual-purpose trainer in the country. He always excels with these types. He's still unexposed as a stayer, this horse. His performance last time out, or both of them, augur well for the future. I'm a little bit worried that he's drawn a little bit wide, but he'll handle the ground. Doesn't matter what's thrown at him. They're talking about taking him back for the Ebor next year. And I think they might consider a few targets abroad. I think even the Melbourne Cup was discussed at one stage. They've shelved that idea. But I do like the horse. I think he's drawn a little bit wide. It's a tough race. You could see the horses like Frank and Stella running a decent race as well. There's a few others in there like Old Mirandos for Cheveley. But to be honest with you, on that run in the Ebor, he wins this. And it's 3 points on the nose, Alfred Boucher.
No, I like it. The thing is, I mean, like you said, Andy, about the draw, if you'd have been drawn, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 2 or whatever towards the inside, you'd have probably been about 2-1. So I think the risk and reward there makes up for it.
I like Kingscote as well. I think he's an excellent rider. I think he'll navigate his way around there. It always used to make me laugh when they gave Kingscote an easy lead at Haydock, because it was just like, you might as well have just given him the race. Yeah. So I think he's a good choice tomorrow. Yeah, Alfred Boucher to the old grey.
Are you on the nose?
Yep, 3 points on the nose.
3 on the nose, 5-1 with the niece. Nice price. Yeah, no, nice price. Can't knock that. Okay, before I come to Nick Davis, I'm going to go with my 3-pointer, and sadly it clashes with yours, Andy. Okay. It's in the 450 nursery, the Newmarket race, and I'm very keen on one here. The Marco Botti trained Curragh Jambu. This horse has been a bit of a work in progress. Quite a keen filly. She certainly, you could see they liked her because they made her 4-1 for a debut. And Marco Botti's are never that short for debut. So the fact that they liked her then said that she got plenty of ability. She pulled too hard at Newbury when she was third. She pulled too hard again when she was third to Amici, who won that big sales race. The second in that race, Delirious Dream, has come out and won twice since, now rated 81. And Curragh Jambu just did everything wrong. Was odds on in that race, it just did it all wrong. The last time was far more encouraging, where she was dropped out, and she will be dropped out here. But it was really encouraging because she was on the wrong part of the track at Doncaster. The stand side was not the place to be at all at Doncaster. And she made all her ground up right on the stands rail, and then pulled clear of the third horse, Misty Blues, 3 lengths clear of that, who certainly had a better run, and that got beaten neck in the nursery at Ayr last weekend. So this, and obviously finished behind Streets of Gold as well at York. So this is very strong form. If you take Bonnie Angel out, the Clive Cox horse that won that race, Coco Jambu would have won that nursery by 3 lengths from Misty Blues. How much would Coco Jambu have gone up for if that was a non-runner? They've probably gone up £10. So the fact they've gone up 3, a work in progress, an improving filly, as long as she settles, that's the proviso. So there's no certainty here. If she settles, I would think she will take the absolute world of beating. And 13-2 is available with a Betfair, Paddy Power, Bet Victor. 3 points on the nose without doubt. I think if she settles, she'll win. And there's no silly paces or anything. That's the only excuses I'd have. So on to Nick now. Finally, to complete the round. Nick, your 3-pointer, please. Drum roll.
Well, those who are fortunate to follow me on Twitter will be no surprise by this. I tweeted it yesterday. It was the biggest certainty this one was going to lose its knackers. I was a great fan of Juanese's victory in the Asia Cup. Back to Mancy Post for the Britannia, was horrified to see that Charlie had then got rid of the hood. Travelled like a dream into it. I probably overraced a little bit after that. And then what do? They step him up to 10 furlongs without the hood, with a predictable thing that he pulled like hell for the first couple of furlongs. Crowley let him then stride on, and he went to the front like Marshall. He'd been ridden by Marshall May in 1815 at the Battle of Waterloo. With the unsurprising effect, he was beaten. Now he's had his knackers off. He was a lot bigger price yesterday, and I'm afraid, yes, I did.
Yes.
Then he was touched up by Cole. Tony Calvin tipped him up as well.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Calvin tipped him as well. And he was 20s early with Denise. I couldn't get that, unfortunately, around things. But I think if he hadn't have run in that race at Goodwood and then just had his knackers off, he wouldn't have been anywhere near double figures.
No.
And I think
Thumbhead's ruined it for everyone again. He's terrible. He's Thumbhead. Awful. Him tipping that up has ruined it for you, Nick. It's 15-2 now. What have you had? You've had some 14, haven't you?
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly.
I love that. It's just slightly. Yeah. It's the phone calls. It's the phone calls after Nick's been in round. Nick's shrewd. He just don't go in one shot and whack it. He just goes it like 5s, 10s.
Yeah, slightly, I'm afraid. You haven't got the praise.
He's terrible, he's Davis. He leaves nothing for us. Listen, Davis is one of those that if we went hunting with him with Bear Grylls, we'd be Masai Mara, and Davis had spot something. And so I'm just going over here, lads, for a minute. He'd have ate the deer, and all that's left on this deer,
crumbs.
He's like burns, and like he's not even spare ribs once Davis has been in. I mean, that's to describe what Davis does. I
beat the Zarvo. Zarvo, I've been to, not the Masai Mara, mate. Get it right.
Yeah. But this is it. You know, this is you. You decimate things. You're an eater. You're a consumer.
Nick Davis.
Nick Davis, Western betting shop eater.
I wouldn't mind. I don't bet a lot these days.
I know, but when you do, you make it count. So Juanese for Nick, 15-2. That's all he's getting for the show for the 3-pointer. Onto the TV races. We've got in total 8 races, 2 at the Curragh. I'm going to start at the Curragh, actually. We'll go to the Beresford. I know, Nick, you've done plenty of work on this. No, right, there we go. So that's Nick Davis's thoughts on the Beresford. On to Andy Richmond, John Lang and myself. Chaps, any thoughts on the Beresford?
I'd back split stake the Aidens too. I think is probably about where I'd be going. He's dominated this race, hasn't he? But
yeah.
It's not a race I really want to get, to be honest with you, it's not a race I really want to get involved with.
No, but for punters that value our opinions, what I will say is if you're back in Adelaide River, you'd probably wish maybe Ryan Moore was on. The reason I say this is because this horse lacks gears. It's a good horse. I mean, the sectionals in France tell you that it's a good horse. It can run consistently, probably just below 12 seconds a furlong. It's an even pace sort, just gallops forever. But the problem is, if you've got something with a turn of foot behind it, just on the steel, that's the problem. It's a worry for me if you are back in Adelaide River tomorrow that everything he's got to make the run. He has to make. They went to France and made the running because they had to. Now making the running at Longchamp against the French sprinters, if you like, the ones with a turn of the foot, it was never going to work. He kind of got pestered by Jesse's pivotal trigger, and it just sort of kept on. He just kept going. You could see it being like a force next year over staying trip. It just gallops like hell. But it reminds me of Waterville. That kind of one paceness. So at 15-8, I don't know. I'm not bothered, but I agree. I sort of agree with Andy that.
I actually like his second string.
Yeah, it won well. Just looks a bit
and you know what he's like in these sort of races. It's not always the first string that wins. How many times have we seen it when he's had 2 or 3 in a race? He's only got 2 in this, and the second string turns up and wins. And I quite like the winner. The second in. It
was a second and a half outside Aesop's Fables for the same race, which Aesop's Fables sets a fair standard, but. It's hard to read because it was a newcomer's maiden. It was so the form is really, we haven't got a clue really in terms of, other than it's a second and a half outside Aesop's Fables. It looked quite nice. The way it stretched, I liked it. Everything about it said it was probably value at the 13-2 that was an offer. It's now 4s. So I'm getting...
straight away afterwards they said that this is the race they were sort of considering. So they must have thought something of it, and it wasn't. It's pedigree reads well, blah de blah de blah. You don't really know, but it's just the second. He's won it so many times with the second in. I just think that might be the one, but.
Yeah, I think Adelaide River's a hard fucker because basically it wouldn't have done Dalk. Then straight away they send it straight out to Longchamp to make all in soft ground. And Ryan literally did go. I mean, I don't like to use the word clock in your head, but Ryan kind of went totally. It did on purpose. He was like he was pushing the horse. He was saying, "Come on," he was keeping up the revs all the time, as if to say. He knew this horse wasn't going to quicken or be able to sort of like show devastating turn of foot. And in the end, he got done by a devastating turn of foot late by Kubrick. So Curragh's easier to make all over the mile, John, though. So that's something positive, is it not?
It is. There is one I'm a little bit interested in here. I'll make it clear, I'm not having a bet, but I'm going to keep a close eye on one. And that's Crypto Force of Mr. O'Callaghan's. I made a note on this one when it ran in the Chesham, and it was for all the wrong reasons. Believe it or not, this horse actually lost its action on the way to post.
Really?
Which you have to sort of see it to believe it, really. And then when I looked up and I saw it was only 17 days since debut, and it's quite a good size horse, a little bit unfurnished. I don't think it'd come out of the debut brilliantly, and given Amo Race's propensity to want to run her in every decent 2-year-old race this year, I just kind of get the feeling that they might have rushed him into that. He's had a nice spell off, the pause that refreshes, and the fact that they're going here instead of maybe a graduation race or something like that to build the horse's confidence, I think this could run well tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I'm going to have a good look at him before the race, but I can't see me having a bet, to be honest. I'm just a bit curious about him.
I'd be interested to know your thoughts, like put it on Barsters if you've time. What you think of him if you get a look of him like before the off. Tweet at the Barsters tomorrow and I'll retweet it. That could be interesting. John's thoughts whether how well he's done in the time off, just for punters. Okay, we'll move on to the British Fair. We can look at the Goffs if we've time. So we're going to go to Haydock first of all. The old Boston Handicap. The 2:05 race, where Davis has been disgraceful with one ease. So sits this one out. So what do we think here, guys? I like Wannies, but I didn't like the draw. I don't like stall 1 at Haydock. It's got a terrible AE, and if Wannies had been drawn a little bit sort of wider, because Wannies is going to be dropped in. So dropped in from stall 1 means you've got an absolute wall of horses for starters, and you've not got track position. It means when you turn in, you've then got to switch wide or hope for the gaps, which is why probably stall 1 has a really shit record at Haydock. Andy, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, there's one that's been very. I know this one's been backed. This was another Mr. Calvin selection, Young Fire, he put up, and that's been backed off the boards. I mean, it is incredibly well handicapped. Whether there's enough dig in the ground for it or whether there's enough fire left in the belly is another matter. I thought the 2 3-year-olds, or 2 of the 3-year-olds, was probably the most interesting in it, in a race where it would be minimal stakes for me, but Incorrigible and Auditor both made some appeal at the prices over Montecibu, his favourite. And I can see why he's favourite, but he's sort of I'm not sure he's bordering on being disappointing, but just sort of a horse who seems to crop up time and time again from the shirt and just doesn't seem to get it done. And if I was playing, and I probably will, Incorrigible and Auditor would be the couple I'd probably want to be with against the field, but with no great confidence.
John?
This is a little bit like you shag a bird and you forget to stick a condom on there, and like there's you're rushing around, you stick her in a scalding hot bath and give her a bottle of gin. Aku Najla, given the weight that Roger Varian had last week, it's a bit of a silly tip. But I think there was reasons for excusing the third run behind my Prospero. I think he just found it all a bit much at the time. He's had thick end of 4 months off. I think that would probably have done this horse the world of good. I'm very encouraged to see he's quite strong in the market. I think they will be pretty convinced this is a better horse than a 98 at some point this season. I would expect him to prove that.
Indeed. It's a fair point. It's an interesting race because of that. Aku Najla could be just different class, but then might not be. It's one of those, around about 4.
On the side note, John, how did your career in social services go?
Terrible. Sacked at lunchtime, Nick.
I've not heard that one before. A bottle of gin and a scalding hot bath. Right.
Yorkshire remedy, lad.
Yeah. The 240 Haydock. The Leicester Piggott first to last handicap. Oh, that's that.
We've got that started.
Yeah. Obviously, this is the Claxon race, and I can reveal off air. This was also Andy Richmond was close to putting this in his 3 as well, so it'd have been a foghorn. Andy Richmond has named it the foghorn before, so it wouldn't have been a Claxon, it would have been a foghorn. Zarzini, that could be the each way play of the day for the wankers. Okay, that'll do, I think, for Haydock. I'm not going to add to you guys on that. Other than that, I thought John might tip up Count Dorsey because he keeps going about that, but stall 1.
As I say, I mean, I think he's the main danger to Zarzini, but at the prices, it was no contest for me.
Yeah. To the meat of the action, but there are some disappointing races. The Royal Lodge tomorrow kicks off the card, but a 4-9 favourite. Can't really make a case for this getting beat. Does anyone differ?
No.
That's the Royal Lodge covered in spades. How do you like that one? 225, the Cheveley Park.
To win for, lads.
Yes. It's hard to get that beat, I think. Meditate at 9-4, as I've made the case, so I'm sitting it out. Cheveley Park, thoughts, anyone?
Nearest thing to a match you'd ever get in a Group 1, I would have said.
I think so. I do respect Trillium, but as I said, I made my cases before. Andy?
It's hard to see outside the front too. I suppose, logically thinking about it, possibly Swing Along and Juliet Sierra would be, but they've got to improve a hell of a lot.
She's a lovely big filly, Juliet Sierra. Lovely big filly. I backed her at Salisbury last time.
I would have the front two the other way round. I think pointer that I would have.
You prefer Trillium, Andy? You think Trillium?
No. I'd have them, at the moment, I'm looking at Trillium as favourite on Betfair.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah.
So I'd have it the other way round. I'd have Meditate as favourite over Trillium.
Yeah, I think the Moigla's different class. But
I don't think there's a lot in it. I mean, you're not talking an awful lot, but I'd just have them the other way round.
No, if you make into higher 4-1 for the Guineas, you'd be if Trillium beats Meditate to higher, then becomes weaker. I don't see it. I think Meditate's the one to be on. Only concerns about the track, as I said before. Okay, moving on quickly then. 3 o'clock Middle Park Stakes. Again, I'll start us off. Just simple things that I think punters should look at throughout the season. We've commented on this show how solid and strong we think the Gimcrack form is this year. Very, very strong with Noble Style. Marshman is the right favourite. Am I saying pummeling at 5-2? Possibly. Well, yes and no. He's worth a bet, I think. I think he's the right favourite. He's the horse that basically is the best in the race. I'm scared of Mischief Magic because that was very impressive at Kempton. But remember, this is an Exceed and Excel colt out of an elusive quality mare. And the best performance came at Kempton, which is all weather. The real big run was last time. It was an amazing run. But it's bred to excel on all weather surfaces by breed.
To be fair, in that race as well, you've got second 40-1, third 33-1, fourth 25-1. I think there's a case for saying a lot of these underperformed in that race.
Yeah, exactly. That is not the Gimcrack form. The Gimcrack form is uber strong. It's aside of the brilliant one of O'Brien's, Little Big Bear. It's the best we have to offer in terms of a 2-year-old race that is,
Lee, how about a related bet, which is not really? How about you back Marchman in a double with Noble Style for the Guineas?
Yeah.
If you wanted a big shot, or, if you wanted a big price, poke at something.
Yeah,
it's related in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, again, as I said,
you take a double Marshman with Little Big Bear, and then you get paid out.
Yeah, I love the Little Big Bear, but I mean, but then someone said to me on, I think Twitter, they said, do you think it's the physical thing? That it could be. You do. It depends how they grow in the winter. And Little Big Bear's got a big advantage because he looked an absolute monster when he last run. It was size form when Little Big Bear last run. So yeah, he's tricky with these, different growth rates, etc. It's never easy. But okay, Cambridgeshire time. Why aren't we bloggering here? And like Davis is smashed up, totally charming. But I mean, Andy, coming to you here. I mean, the 3-year-old angle is interesting this year because sometimes it's difficult for 3-year-olds to get in the past. Obviously, when you get a fill in Cambridgeshire, 3-year-olds often struggle, or many of them struggle to get in. There's quite a few 3-year-olds at the top of the market this year.
Well, they couldn't fill the race, could they?
No.
I mean, we're talking about field sizes and et cetera, but you look at it and you think, hang on a minute. I know you've still got 28 runners we've got in this. Yeah, but I can remember 35 runners and I'm sure there was a consolation race for this at one time and they couldn't.
Yeah, Silver Cambridge.
So they couldn't.
There was last year. I think
was,
the last couple of years they couldn't fill it.
Yeah, so there are quite a few. The one notable thing, everyone's gone about, a lot of people have gone, it's been a lethal race of late, isn't it? 2021 we had a 40-1 winner, 2020 we had another 40-1 winner, 2017 we had a 50-1 winner. You can look at it and think Haggis has got a strong hand with Mujtaba and Protagonist. But if you go back 22, you've got to go back 22 years. The 4-year-olds and over who won last time out are 0 from 69. So I'm not sure you really want to win last time out. And the other thing I looked at was, where's the pace? There is absolutely no pace amongst those drawn low. And the last 6 winners all came from 20-plus stalls. Whether that has a bearing tomorrow, anything that's come from a pattern race has got a very poor record. I thought on the stand side, where there's some pace, I thought that originally I thought Kitsune Power was quite interesting for Roger Berry, but it's drawn 7, which put me off. I thought there was a few not old lags drawn high. Perotto I thought was interesting, drawn high, dropped in sort of grade. Trainers won this.
I think Billy Lay's an excellent booking for that. I think he'll square that house up a lot.
Yeah, I like Billy Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, Trainers won this with Bronze Angel before. They've tried him in listed and group races. I think they've just been shooting a little bit too high. He's used to big field handicaps. He won this the Britannia. I almost sort of shoved this in the 3 to try and seal the old Naps table, but there's a few others are fancying it. I don't know how long I've got to hang on in that as well. But Lucanda's interesting as well.
November handicap, Andy. November handicap.
Oh, is it? Blooming hell, we've got a way to go yet then.
Yeah.
Lucanda's interesting for Rafe or Ralph with the blinkers on first time out. He does very well with his blinkered first time runners. He's got a very good record in those. And a bit of a forgotten horse, really. Oh, Jimi Hendrix.
You like this one. I want to say you like this.
Yeah, I like the horse. And he ran a little bit disappointed. The last time we saw him, he was a little bit disappointing. They're talking about 3-year-olds. This one's trained by Ralph. The other one's trained by Rafe.
Yes.
It's the twin brother. But he was a good third again, another one who's run well in the Britannia. He was third in that. So I can see myself, whilst respecting Nick's excellent knowledge on the race and selection, I can see myself having a sort of couple of pokes at Lucanda and Perotto and possibly Jimi Hendrix as well. All from I could be putting on.
Wouldn't Lucanda would surely want more cut, wouldn't he?
Possibly. Although they were taking the top off it today. To be honest with you, Nick, it's not a race I'm going to go balls deep in. So I'm quite happy to have a little punt at some reasonable prices.
Yeah.
And take it that way. That's the way I was looking at it. I was just trying to avoid the sort of the bleeding obvious, basically, and I didn't want.
Yeah, I know. Is there a point we say where these Haggis horses are becoming very, very bad value because they each handicap we see, he's got probably an unexposed one, and it's automatically now going off very short, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at again, this is where I'm always putting things in context with stats like that. You see it time and time again, ATR, whatever, any of the racing channels, Channel 4, ITV, all the strike rates. This, well, yeah, but it's not in context. They're always. You've got to look at the winners above expected and what the market's expecting of them. You could have it's like saying Paul Nicholls in the winter is 5 from 5, always got 100% strike rate. Well, they've all been like 2s on. It's meaningless. So people are not quoting them in the correct way. And I get the feeling that is happening with the Haggis run. I mean, we are all massive Haggis fans here, well, most of us are. But again, you just think it might just be slightly overbet here. It was pace amongst the low numbers that I was worried about. If you're backing anything in single figures,
yeah, there
ain't much over there.
Jimi Hendrix for me anyway. You just for a bit more value than the Fav. I mean, Blogger will be back in the Fav, and we don't want that winning, do we? I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible, and he'll tip that. He's an apt to tip that.
We've not seen much of him lately. Has he disappeared?
We don't see much of him because he's blocked us.
Oh right. He hasn't blocked me because I don't follow him. But there you go.
You see, actually, you've got the best result there, Andy. Right, so just to finish all in, quick view at the Goss Million. Obviously, Nick, you're not bothering here, but obviously,
hold on, I've got a couple of things. I was going to put a couple in here, but one was withdrawn and the other one was drawn badly. They were in the same race actually. 2 of Farley's Master Zoffany. Now went over to Ireland, but was made a first reserve. If you watch its last Chester run, it might be well worth sticking that in your tracker and watching out for where it runs. Now, he is running one in that race, Chester at the 7 furlong handicap, Gabrielle the Devil, but it's drawn wrong right in the car park and it doesn't properly get 7. So either you want an easy 7 for it where it's drawn better or 6 furlongs and drawn in the middle. But yeah, Master Zoffany and Gabrielle the Devil sticking your tracker for soon.
Good stuff, Nick. No, listen to the Davis, because if you don't, he'll have your prices before you do. Thanks for that, Nick. Okay, Goffs Doodah. Lang's obviously gone heavily on Oviedo. There's one I wanted to mention was Bossy Parker. The reason is it wouldn't be up to this grade, but I like horses that mess about when they hit the front and idle and piss around. And this is all this horse does. It's so God knows how much it's got in hand, because literally Spirit Genie looked like it was travelling all over it last time out at Cork, and this horse just got to the front and just wandered left, right, all over the place. In fact, there was Stuart's Inquiry. It sort of carried the other one across it messes around. So again, you just don't know what this has got left. We can all work out, and it has got to probably improve at least a stone, you'd think, to be sure of winning this. But it is 16-1, and horses that do idle I do like, and I do tend to back at big prices. So Bossy Parker is worth an interest for me at bigger odds, but I'd like to roam with Johns as well. I think that's a good bet around the current prices. Andy?
I'd probably just roam with Johns. I think actually he's far more erudite on the race than I'll be, and he made a good case for the Ed Bethel horse, and I remember him being quite strong on it. So if I were to have a flutter on it, I would be rowing in with Mr. Lang. Yeah,
John liked this in the Acom a lot, and he was on about this to me in the Acom strongly. So I want Johns to win anyway for the pod. So that'll conclude the show. Hope you enjoyed it, chaps. I certainly did, and we've come with some belters. I think the reasons tonight have been probably the best I've heard in a long time. So hopefully we can do the business for you and put some silver and gold in your pockets. That's all from us. We're back on Sunday for the sermon. Bye for now.